everybody. Welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. We have Chief Sjoholm. I got that right?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Boom! All right, appreciate you joining us. So you're not familiar with the podcast at all, so you got kind of thrown in. I'm not sure if you're tracking how all this happened. One of your guys just was kind of interested in podcasts. He's like, what are you guys doing here? So we started talking to him about it, and he's like, we're trying to get him on.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Mike would have done great, by the way.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you come on. This is we want to talk to everybody. And but he was like, no, I got a perfect guy for you. So that's why you're up.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, glad to be here.
So what's your background?
Yeah, so I joined in 2001 from Wisconsin, enlisted with no real goals, and got thrown into what is now the RPA world. So MQ1, MQ9. Spent about 20 years doing that.
No kidding, right? And you're still doing that? No,
I got fortunate enough to get hired as a group chief out at McConnell, working with the tankers, KC-46 and KC-135.
Okay, awesome. Well, wow, how'd that happen? Just because you did a 9G cross-flow?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I know you don't know who I am, so I'm a JTAC by trade, combat controller, so I have lots of time on the ground with your sensor operators.
We love you guys.
MQ1s, MQ9s.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, thanks for what you guys do for us, because there have been many times where we have had some long, late nights, and I can remember one in particular where I had been calling CAS for many, many hours, and I hadn't slept. And I started getting to a point where I was kind of worried about the grids that I was passing.
Yeah.
My confidence level wasn't there. And there were these three guys that we were trying to get. And because they had been attacking us, kind of harassing fire, and it's like, all right, they've been doing this for a while, and they'd bound and hide again. It's kind of like, all right, well, you guys are following them. Cool. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to keep my headphones on, my radio going, and then as soon as you guys feel comfortable and we know where they're going, just yell a couple times in the radio, and then I'll wake up. And that's exactly what we did. Generated a new 9 line and friggin' smoked those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so the whole remotely piloted aircraft community has really changed a lot in the way that, and I won't focus on RPAs, I'm just focusing on them a little bit, because we actually haven't had an RPA dude on here. Are they still owned by the Intel community, the A2?
Oh, goodness gracious. So I'm pretty sure I'd get some pitchforks. That's a good question. And the debate always rages between, A2 and A3, and thou shalt never be, truly friendly with each other. My optic after 20 years, I think you cannot ignore the value of the intel that those platforms provide, but you also can't ignore the tremendous value of persistent attack, the ability to follow someone and give somebody a peace of mind to bed down and then strike a couple hours later. There's not a lot of platforms that can do that, and so I don't. Josh's personal opinion, I don't think the A2 or the A3 get to own either of that asset.
No, and that wasn't a setup question. It's just that I knew that there was some friction points in there, because the MQ9 community, and I agree with this, like to think of themselves as more of a CAS platform, an attack platform, which is, I think, right on. Yeah, it has other capabilities, but as a guy on the ground that likes that capability, likes the loiter time, likes the eyes that you have, the ability to have somebody sitting at 1G with multiple people at 1G with the amount of data that you guys have, it's almost too much. Having gone into some of the cockpits with the 26 whips, it's like, I don't know how you guys are handling all this, but with that, the amount of ordnance that you guys can carry too, and then to have a 2-ship, that's huge to me.
Yeah.
And I know that there was some friction points with that. I don't know were you part of any of that kind of initiative to get it going?
Oh yeah, man. So back in 2002 when I first started flying them, nobody knew what they were, right? They were like, we would call up on the radio and they'd be like, I don't know what to do with you, go look at this, right? And so in that world, very much the A2, right? And then as the really smart people got the weapons on the platform, and we were like, no, we can actually do this thing. We can do the more ops combat type stuff. You'd see the friction between the crews who wanted to be a bit fangs out and the intel that were trying to get the data they needed.
Yeah, it's, and I mean, I may have been guilty of that too. The whole like, I don't know what to do with you, I'm not familiar with you. I know some of the early on challenges were the actual just communication, because there weren't necessarily radios on board that we could talk to, VHF, UHF.
Yep.
And so I'm kind of like, I'm out in the field, I don't have Merc. You know?
I would tell you there's probably still a couple 06s around the Air Force that are frustrated with the non-standard nature of radios on those platforms. We're getting better though. It's good.
Oh yeah. And as the future goes on with some of the other platforms that are really coming out, the future looks bright. That's what I'll say. So transitioning a little bit from sensor operator to now boom, kind of like what's the scope of your responsibility where you're at now as the group chief?
Yeah, well, so let me clarify for the benefit of my booms. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do a senior operator course for boom operator, so I get to fly on them and watch how amazing they are, but not a boom. Would love to do the job. Absolutely love what they do. It's amazing, but it's a group chief job, and so the scope is a couple hundred, 700 people across multiple squadrons, leading airmen and championing and cheering them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I like that you said that your booms are amazing because they really are. I know, and I always bring up this one boom. His call sign's Vandal, and he's over at Milton Hall now. But I saw him during a weapons school integration bowl.
Oh yeah.
Where Airborne C2, I can't remember if they maintenance delayed or maintenance and had to go home or they were shot down. Whatever. I'm not here to say one way or the other, and just because Vandal paid attention to everybody's fuel plan, everybody's remaining fuel, what assets were going to different agile, different ACE locations. He ran the debrief from the fuel point and then planned for the next day what things were going to go, because he was the only person. And it sounds bad that nobody was paying attention. People were paying attention, but they're also flying. They're avoiding threats. They're trying not to run into other aircraft. But he paid attention, just writing everything down. And him as a tech sergeant, if I remember right, planned the entire fuel plan for the next day, because we had a lot of trapped gas.
100%.
And you're right, they're amazing. Their ability to comprehend all the fuel plans.
Well, AMC kind of blows my mind, man, and this is something, this is probably true for all of AMC, but coming to AMC from Air Combat Commands, pointy nose jets, RPAs, that was my life. A little bit of support for AFSOC and guys on the ground, and not really thinking about the logistics of warfare that AMC deals with every day, right? And so when you look at, sure, you got the pilots and the booms, but then like your 2T1s, your port dogs, you got your intel support, you got your 1 Charlie SARM troops, all these enlisted airmen and officers that make these jets fly is incredible. And like they take it for granted. Like all of AMC takes what they do for granted. They don't realize how mind-blowing it is. Like if I were to tell you that you could go on a road trip from California to New York, and you wouldn't have to stop for gas, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a Corvette come up from behind you, pull in front of you, and I'm going to refuel you while you're on the road, going up and down the hills. That would be pretty crazy to think about at like 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, right? But then take that mindset, have it in the air, add a couple digits to that speed, in 3 dimensions with airflow, and it's incredible. And they do it without even thinking about it, like it's effortless. Like, oh yeah, we're going to launch this massive aircraft in 10 hours for a mission we just planned, and they just do it every day like it's just no big deal. And I will tell you, it's a big deal. It's incredible.
Yeah, and you got multiple aircraft in tow, so you're not just refueling my car behind that Corvette, you're fueling 3, 4, 5, 6 other people as well that are, all right, well, who needs more gas? And it's not like it's just a boom right up there. After flying in a B2 sim that I failed miserably at, flying was fine. Trying to air refuel, that is tough. So all that, and then something goes wrong or somebody's having problems, getting on the probe, things can go bad real fast.
Well, and again, like until you've sat in a 135, a KC-10, a KC-46, and you've seen it happen in air, you just can't fully appreciate it. No. It's amazing.
Especially, so I haven't been on a 46 or a 10, but I've got a good amount of time on a 135.
Yeah,
and
their little window, right?
That little window, and I'm a little guy, so I can just shimmy on in there. But I'm like, this is crazy back here. I'm just resting my forehead on, and
yeah, man,
it's bonkers. And it's not like, okay, yeah, you got MVG and stuff like that, but in bad weather. And now they're doing it low altitude refueling too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's serious business, and nobody's going anywhere without fuel.
Nope.
And then there's a new crane that is being used. I think it's called a Prac crane or PR. I'm probably messing up the acronym, but I know they've started using it on the 135 to now, because you can take pallet. I'm kind of saying it for the audience, not for you, obviously, but you can take palletized cargo. Yeah. So if we need to refuel or rearm people, you guys can take cargo and
personnel.
Yeah, and personnel are lifting all that stuff, getting it loaded in there, and it's incredible. AMC is no longer about taking cargo. It's no longer just about fueling or air refueling. It's so much more. It's the whole logistics train.
Well, look, and again, you know, AMC is, and this is why I was so excited. Like, I fought to come to AMC. Like, that was my number one choice. You know, as a chief, you get a little bit of say, not a lot of bit of say, as you know, but you get a little bit of leeway on where, you know, you get hired. And McConnell, my base was my number one pick. This is where I wanted to be, because every general throughout history will tell you wars are won and lost by logistics.
Oh, yeah.
And that is what AMC does, right? Like, you can have the best fighters, you can have the best missiles, you can have the best soldiers and sailors, but unless you can get them to the fights and keep them in the fight, it doesn't really matter. Yep. And it's been amazing to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Logistics wins wars. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Or loses them, as Russia knows.
Or loses, yeah. So our demographic is 15 to 25, maybe 30-year-olds that are interested in joining the Air Force.
Yeah, great.
Mixture of high school, college, ROTC, just folks right off the street.
Yeah.
So what would be one piece of advice, or maybe a couple pieces of advice, that you would give to those folks who are looking to join?
Yeah, you know, I think the first thing I would tell you is you're not going to lose your identity, right? So if you're a sports enthusiast, if you're a video gamer, you know, whatever your hobby is, you're not going to lose that when you join. I think a lot of people, particularly if you don't have a military background or a military family, they see the military and they get scared that they're going to lose themselves, right?
Right.
Basic training is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. Tech school is going to be tightly constrained, but after that, you're going to have your free time. And so the first thing I would say is, you know, don't be afraid that you're going to lose your hobbies. Don't be afraid that you're going to lose who you are, or that the military is going to microchip you or something and change your personality, right? You're gonna leave out the other end. You're gonna be better at walking to a command, but you're still gonna be the same person before you joined. Yeah. Is probably the first thing I would say, because, you know, I think, you know, talking to folks, I think there's a lot of fear of that, right? Like, can I still play sports? Can I still play my video games? You know, and absolutely, that's the first thing I would say. The second I would say is, it takes all kinds, right? We need everybody who wants to serve this country. And so if you're an introvert, an extrovert, wherever you come from, we need you, right? You're going to be welcomed. And the beauty of the military and the terror of the military is that it is the ultimate meritocracy.
Oh yeah.
You know, we're going to give you the rules that you need to be successful and to advance and progress. Some people may have an opinion about that, and you know, you're going to get the results that you put in, which isn't true, I don't think, for all professions and careers. And so there's a lot of opportunity. I think, you know, for a guy like me, I had a wonderful upbringing, amazing family, but I grew what I would call, you know, lower middle class, right? Which is to say I had a wonderful childhood. But to be part of what I've been a part of and see what I've done, I never could have achieved that. I firmly believe as a civilian. The military gave me opportunities and grew me in a way that I never expected. And I think, you know, for most of us that have been in for 20 plus years, I think we can say that looking back. Like, I can't believe the 18-year-old numbskull that I was when I joined to the professional that has the military has made me into. And then the last thing I would say, you know, a piece of advice. So I think, you know, everybody wants to feel like their life matters. They want to feel like there's a purpose to their existence. You join the military, whatever branch it is, whatever fits best for you, you're never going to question that, right? You deploy to serve a country. The people may have an opinion about that, but when you're on the ground taking care of whatever it is you're taking care of, you're going to see the effects, and you're going to have that for the rest of your life. And along with that, we're going to give you a second family, right? We're going to give you a group of misfits that come from all spectrums of the world that are together in mutual weirdness, and we're going to be a family. And it's incredible. And, you know, after 22 years, which is how long I've been in, good times, bad times, but it's always the people. It's always the people. It's always the friendship, the camaraderie. You know, everybody's got a bad boss, right? But 10 years later, I don't remember that. I mean, I do, but it's the people around them, right? It's the people around, you know.
I know exactly what you learn, and I always tell people, you learn more from the bad bosses than you do the good bosses.
And you survive them.
Yeah, you do survive them. No, I know exactly what you're going for. No, I appreciate it. People and the people that you meet are the common denominator in all of that. So I appreciate you saying that. And then I also appreciate you coming on. Yeah. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting you, Chief.
Nice meeting you too, bud.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.